Hello and welcome back. So it's been a while, sorry I haven't had much time recently because I've been revising for my exams and everything. But yeah, basically, give me a second. That's better. Anyway, so what I've done today is I've made an encryption thing, which uses public and private keys, which is like how banks work. So basically what that means is there's a public key which anyone can have, and then there's the private key which are used to decode the file or whatever you're trying to encrypt. I've been doing files just because it's cooler, to be fair, and more useful. And yeah, I'll show you how it works. Okay, so this is it here, just this little small thing here. So we've got a file, okay, it's just called test file. And then it says hello world. Now we want to send this to someone, okay? But obviously we don't want anyone else to be able to read it. So what do? We encrypt it, okay? So what we do is we type in the name of our file, so test file, file.txt, because it's a text file, and then we just type in a password. So let's just make it password. Okay, so password, now we click encrypt, and you'll see that I think it's done. So if we now open it, we can see all of this. So yeah, this is unreadable, like to some random person, if I've sent this over the internet and someone else tried to steal it, they're not gonna know what any of this means. So what will happen is someone else will have this program, and they will get the file, and they'll type the same thing in, the password as password and the file as the file, and then click decrypt. And then the same thing will happen now when we open it. It says hello world. So we have now encrypted, theoretically sent over and decrypted it using only the password. And now the cool thing about this program is anyone can have this program. Like even if the person trying to steal the file has this program, they're still not going to be able to decrypt it or whatever because they need the password. So let me show you how it works. Okay, so let's start with the encryption. So how it works is we get our password. This is just collecting whatever we wrote in using tkinter. And what it does, it scans through every letter and turns it into its ASCII value. So say P is equal to 23 in ASCII. So what it'll do is it'll go through every letter. So say if we put password as our password, it will do P, then A, then S, and it will turn them all into their ASCII value. Now the reason we're doing this is because we need our password to be a number, we need our private key to be a number. So what we're doing is we're taking that alphabetical input and we're actually turning it into a numerical key. Now this is good because obviously you could just type in a bunch of numbers and use that as your private key, but that's more difficult to remember. So if we use this method, that means we can actually use words and stuff as our key, and it generates a key for us using those letters. So yeah, it turns them into their ASCII value, and it creates a number called pass number, called pass num. Now what it does then is it gets the file, opens the file, reads it, and then it just deletes the file, and then it opens up a new one, because obviously we want to get rid of the old one, make a new one so we can put our new encrypted text in. And then what it does here is it times is, so it does the same thing we did with the password, except with hello world. So it does H and turns them all into numbers, okay? And then it timeses those numbers by our pass number. So say if H is 20 in ASCII and our pass number is 100, this will now be 1,000 and whatever, and that's all those numbers that you see. Each one of those numbers that you saw are each one letter, but you can't decrypt them unless you have the key, because what the decryption does here is it does the same thing, except rather than timesing it, it divides it. So you can see here, it divides it, and then so say if we have 1,000, and we divide it by the pass number, which is 100, then we end up, 2,000, divided by the pass number, which is 100, then we end up getting 200, which is, or 20, whatever it was, you know what I'm trying to say. We get our original ASCII value, and then it turns that back into ASCII, and then writes it back in, and we end up getting hello world. But no program is good without trying to break it, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to encrypt it again, and here you can see we've got our encrypted text. Now let's try and break it. Let's try and break this encryption. Okay, so what we've got here is a really simple little program, and what it does, it basically, we need to know the first letter. So say if we know that the first letter from a hello world is H, then we can break it. But for this to work, we need to already know what the first letter is going to be. So you could try and guess, but unless you know the first letter, you can't really break it. But we know the first letter, so that's good. So we've got our file as, test file, and our first letter is H. And what it will do is it will take this first number here, and it'll start at 1 and just go up and up and up and add 1 each time, and it will keep dividing that number by whatever's in here. So it'll start at 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, and it'll just keep dividing it until it gets to the number, which is the ASCII value of H. So say if H is 20, it'll keep adding numbers and dividing that number until we get to 20. Yeah, so basically that's what it does. So if we run this, you'll see, now depending on how strong your password is how long it could take. Now the problem with this is that it adds up the ASCII values. So say password, if you add up each letter's ASCII value and you get 200, there's going to be in ASCII or Unicode, whatever. Unicode, same thing. Well, it's not, but anyway, there's going to be another symbol that's ASCII value is 200. So where our password adds up to 200, there's an individual character which also is represented by the ASCII value 200. So what we can do is we can try this over and over again. It's on thousands at the moment. Great. And this might be a while. Tell you what, I'll come back when it's done. Okay, so I just turned off the camera, but I'm pretty sure that the first letter was a capital H, not a lowercase h. So if we run this again, see, that's what I mean, you need to know the first letter in order for this to work. Yeah, if we run this again, then you'll see any second now. Pretty sure it's about 800 or something from my testing, although it's a different first letter, so I don't know, it could be more. It won't be much more. About 800 tries, I'm pretty sure. So run 6, 7, and 8. It's normally like 883. There we go, 882. No, it is 883 because it does 882, then 883. So we have a character right here, so like this weird T, okay, which is represented by the ASCII value 883, okay? Now, we know that the private key is now 883, but obviously this doesn't accept just the number private key. So if we run this again, and you can see that our text is still encrypted. If we now type in the file, test file.txt, and we copy and paste this character in, and we click decrypt. Oh, I just did it twice. Oh, I did it twice by accident, but oh, that's really annoying. But basically, yeah, it would have said hello world, so we would have broken the code. So how do we prevent this? Oh, well, I'm so glad you asked. So if we just type hello, this only works, this breaking technique only works for this. But what we can do is if we run it, cool little thing that I found out by accident, if we do test file.txt, don't know why I closed it in the first place, to be fair, and we just do password, we click encrypt, then it makes this handy little encrypted file. But what we can do is we can encrypt it again, which means it will go through each one of these individual numbers. So 9, the ASCII value for 9 is going to be 23 whatever, and then it will encrypt all this message. So think of this as its own string. It will encrypt that. So if we encrypt it again, then it builds up. And what we can do is we can encrypt this. So this is the 3rd time, 4th time. See, it takes longer and longer. I think I'll stop there. So that's 4 times. And you can see that it's already, oh wow, it's pretty beefy, okay? So not only do we now need to know the password, but we also have to know the number of times. So if we decrypt it 4 times, that's 1. So now we're on... Oh, it's still working. I shouldn't have done that. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. It's not going to be fine, is it? Yeah, there we go. So that's 1, 2. Okay, 3. So now we're back to the first encryption, and we do it one more time. We get hello. So this will no longer work because we need to know an amount of time. So if we know that the first letter is H, that's not going to help us because it's going to be trying to find the amount of it's going to be trying to find H when the first letter isn't H. It's 9 whatever, and then that's only for 1 encryption. You need to keep doing that over and over. It's just not going to work. So yeah. So thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, subscribe, hit that bell, share with your friends, leave a comment, all of that cool stuff, and I'll see you later.